You ever hear an engine that just does not belong somewhere? That was the sound that cut through the quiet on my ranch that morning, the kind of high-dollar, low-manners noise you'd expect in a city not crawling up a dirt road, spraying dust over everything I've poured my life into. And then, as if the universe wanted me to get the joke, that slick black Audi rolled to a stop at the edge of my front pasture, and out stepped Evelyn Reed, looking every bit like she'd been dropped here straight from a Fortune 500 boardroom heels, biting into the dirt sunglasses that probably cost more than my first truck. I just rocked there on my old porch swing with Shadow, my mutt curled up at my boots. She didn't even bother with the walk-up, just hollered across the yard like she owned the valley. "Jackson Caldwell, we need to talk." Not even a good morning. Nothing but sharp edges in her voice. I didn't move. Shadow was already low growling, and I figured, hell, let's see how long her city shoes last in this mud. "We've said all there is to say, Ms. Reed." I called back, and my answer's the same as it was last week. This ranch isn't for sale. It never will be. She tried for that $1,000,000 smirk, but I could see the irritation crack through just for a second. "That's sentimental, Mr. Caldwell. We're offering you a way out, a comfortable one. Real money. You don't have to live like this." I stood up slow, because I know how to play my part. My comfort is right here on the land my dad built next to the creek my wife is buried by. There isn't a check big enough, and there never will be. For a moment, her face just dropped, and then she pulled out this fat satellite phone, stared me down, and said, "You've got 10 minutes to change your mind before this escalates." She didn't wait for me to answer, just got in the car and peeled out, sending up another storm of dust. I went inside and poured myself some coffee, because at that point, what else do you do? You know what I mean? I watched the clock, not nervous, just steady, because I've seen real panic, and this wasn't it. But right about the time I figured nothing would happen, the sky started to thunder. A Black Hawk of all things dropped out of nowhere and hit my pasture like it was a war zone. The ground actually shook, the coffee spilled on my hand, and before the rotors even slowed out came 6 guys in tactical gear, weapons up, moving like they were born in that armor. They didn't knock, just put my old front door on the ground. "Hands where we can see 'em," the team leader barked, but I just looked him straight in the face. Calm as ever, because I saw his eyes drift over to that old picture of my army unit on the mantle, the name Caldwell carved above the fireplace. Something in him changed. The whole stance shifted. The guy straightened up, snapped off a salute sharper than I'd seen in years. "Colonel Caldwell, forgive the intrusion, sir." Just like that, the danger was gone. He leaned close, told me this was federal authorization, not local, above my pay grade. That meant this wasn't just Evelyn and her money, there was something else behind this. I offered them coffee, half joking, half to keep things normal. The captain just shook his head. "We're clearing out." "We made a mistake, sir." They backed off as fast as they'd come, full military courtesy now. And in the field, I caught sight of Evelyn's Audi parked just down the road. She saw her plan fall apart and looked about ready to spit nails. But here's the thing, when all that noise faded and the dust settled, it was quieter than before. Heavier almost, because I knew this wasn't done. Sure enough, 5 miles down the mountain, Evelyn was already on the phone, voice tight with anger, giving some report to a shadowy guy named Mr. Sterling. He just told her flat, start digging, find Caldwell's weaknesses, squeeze, real peach that one. And right then, I realized I'd need backup. So after sweeping up what was left of my door, in walked Eris Thorne County vet friend since forever, the only one out here who checks in without an agenda. She looked at the damage, looked at me, then skyward. "Military helicopter. Jack, what are you into?" I tried to shrug it off, but she wasn't having it. "You and I both know misunderstandings don't bring Delta Force to your living room. This is about those corporate folks, isn't it?" I nodded. "They've escalated." She frowned, asked what I'd do. I told her, protect my home, however I have to. After she left, I went digging in the cellar, remembering something my old man once said about a secret down there. Sure enough, found a hidden door in the stone, led to a room packed with Cold War electronics, some of it newer, blinking, still alive. Then, just as I was thinking how strange it all was, a red light started flashing. Perimeter breach. Out back, I saw 2 drones flying grid patterns over my land, snooping for their next move. I called an old friend, David Chen Oracle, back in the day. "It's Nomad," I said, and he just whistled. "Jack, what's going on?" Told him about Ethelred Holdings. "You're in deep," he said. "I'll dig." About then he called back with the real news. Ethelred isn't just a corporation. They're a private intelligence firm. Defense data, all of it. Your ranch is on top of a Cold War relay node. Whoever holds it can reroute half the continent's data traffic. Suddenly it clicked, this was never about land. 2 days later, I checked in at Eris's clinic. She was getting grilled by state inspectors, supposedly over her meds. They trashed her place, found nothing, but her reputation took a hit. That night, she showed up at my door, tired and scared. They're threatening my license, Jack. All because of you, aren't they? I hated to admit it. We don't run, I told her. We fight. As she left, Captain Vance from before said the attack on Eris traced right to Ethelred. Careful, he warned, these people don't play by the rules. The next morning, Shadow led me to a metal case near the fence line, 2 blocks of C4 inside fresh with a remote detonator. Someone was setting me up. And just like clockwork, a federal lawyer appeared waving a warrant looking for domestic terrorism. If I fought, I was guilty. If I ran, I was guilty. Ethelred would get the ranch either way. You ever feel the system turning against you, like the country you served is pointing a gun at your own head? So I started prepping. Powered up the old bunker-rigged defenses. Nothing lethal, just noise, mud, blackout switches. Called Oracle, called Vance, told him to stay clear. Then I waited. They showed up before dawn, 8 mercenaries armed like it was Baghdad. My traps worked, a couple got dropped in the barn, disoriented by sonic chaos. The rest stormed the house, but lost their advantage when everything went dark. My dogs and I, we handled it the way you do when you're too tired for mistakes. 5 minutes later, their team leader was zip-tied in the bunker, making a call to Evelyn Reed herself. 20 minutes later, Evelyn strode in, thinking she'd won, only to see her entire team laid out and me calmly drinking coffee, Oracle watching via video from half a country away. Checkmate, Evelyn, I told her. Dawn broke just as the real authorities pulled in. Captain Vance led the charge. The feds hauled Evelyn her mercs and all the evidence away. Eris showed up with pastries, and we watched the sun come up in peace, at least for the moment. She asked, "Is it over?" I just shrugged. Maybe this battle. The war. We'll see. A week later, a black sedan rolled up. Out stepped General McKinnon, a ghost from my army past. He handed me a folder. Not an order, Jack, a request. The world still needs men like you. I stared out at the mountains, realizing my little patch of nowhere had become the front line for something way bigger than land. Choice was mine. So let me ask you, what would you have done? Would you hold your ground, fight for your home, even if it meant dragging old ghosts out of hiding? Or would you cut and run, let someone else decide your story? Drop a comment. Out here, right and wrong aren't always clear. Sometimes justice is just about who's willing to stand their ground longest.